Hello, welcome back to Jersey Nerds Productions, Press Play Action, Mitchell Lee, Brandon 2, Tommy Grant, all that other crap. Guys, who we are, what we call ourselves is not important right now because we are about to get into some capital M movies. We're the films. We're talking about some films here, and not
We're
just today,
we're
but we
talking about
are,
90s cinematic masterpieces.
but even more so than that. Today begins our journey that we are going to be in for a while. We're going to be in this for damn near the rest of the year. So strap in, lock up, whatever the hell else you want to do, because it's time to dig into the filmography of one Steven Spielberg, who some may consider to be the most uh, well known director of all time and one of the best directors of all time. When you say movie director, Steven Spielberg is probably the first person that most people think of because he's been making great movies for so long and so many different types of fantastic movies spanning decades, if not 50 something years now. This guy's been making incredible movies, and we're going to start off with two of, when you think of Steven Spielberg, you think more about the 80s, the adventure movies like E.T. or the Indiana Jones movies or stuff like Jaws from the 70s. But if you were to really press people on what their or what the best Steven Spielberg movies are, we're going to talk about the two that are probably at the top of that list, with Saving Private Ryan and Schindler's List. And we're going to go ahead and start off with Saving Private Ryan here. Usually I like to go in chronological order, but I have my reasoning for going Schindler's List second, and we'll get into that as we go. But Saving Private Ryan, Steven Spielberg directed movie, $65-70 million budget, made 482. So this was a giant hit. Released in the summer of 1998, July 24th. So my box office trivia question to you guys is, and I know Tommy probably already cheated and
Nope, I
looked
didn't.
it up.
I
Bullshit. I don't
didn't.
believe you for a second.
Dude, I haven't had time to do that this week.
You've lost my trust, Tommy. Um, okay. What was the highest grossing movie of 1998?
1998?
Yeah. Saving Private Ryan was a movie that made a ton of money, but what was the highest grossing movie of
Is the
1998?
answer Saving Private Ryan?
Yeah, is that the
Tommy,
answer?
see, I told you cheated. I knew you cheated. I knew you
But
cheated.
is that the right answer?
Technically, the movie that made the most money in 1998 was Titanic.
Yeah.
But that came out in 1997 and just continued to
Okay.
steamroll
And just continued to.
everything in 1998.
Wasn't
But the
that like a
highest,
Christmas release of '97?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. And that was in theaters for like 8, 9, 10 months, which is unheard of. But Saving Private Ryan made the most money out of any movie released domestically in 1998. Number 2 was Armageddon. And
Love
number
that.
3 was There's Something About Mary. And all three of those movies were released in July of 1998. So big July for moviegoers in 1998. But Saving Private Ryan here is an incredibly acclaimed movie. I know we've been talking about a bunch of movies on the IMDb Top 250. This is number 24 all time on that list with an 8.6 rating. It won 5 Oscars. It won for Best Director for Steven Spielberg, Best Cinematography, Best Sound, Best Film Editing, and Best Sound Effects Editing. It did not win Best Picture. Brandon and I already discussed this a little over a year ago, one of our first podcasts that we did when we were talking about Shakespeare in Love, about how Harvey Weinstein infamously went around and apparently convinced people that they only liked the first 20 minutes of this movie. and that after the first 20 minutes of this movie, or after the Normandy beach storming scene,
it's like 27 minutes. I think it's 27 minutes of Normandy, basically, because the first 3 minutes is like the opening scene, and then it's 27 minutes. I counted, by the way, when I was watching. I like stopped the movie and was like, just want to check the time. I was like 27 minutes.
I actually had the exact same thought. Yeah,
a brutal Normandy invasion. Very funny that Weinstein did that, because, man, do I agree with him or do I disagree with him? I guess we'll find out.
Well, it's funny. It's funny now that we've talked about, we're talking about this one, so now I can actually give my opinion on what I think is the better movie. And no duh, it's Saving Private Ryan, and I like Shakespeare in Love.
Same.
I gave it a B+, but that's nowhere near a Best Picture winner.
Right.
This is a fantastic movie. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go ahead and do something that I don't ever do. And that's, I'm going to go ahead and give my grade right out at the gate, because I know it's going to cause problems.
No, go ahead, give it.
Because my grade is an A+. It's an A+ 37.21. And
it's just not high enough.
It's strange to me, Brandon. I feel very similarly to you, because I went into this with extremely high expectations. For a reason. I mean, you saw the Oscars that it won, the IMDb that it has, the reputation that this movie has, and the fact that it is Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks in the 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, you could offer people free crack in front of the movie theater if they didn't go see this movie, and they still would have elected to see this movie, because Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks were just on that much of a heater at the time. I mean, this was Spielberg coming off of Spielberg coming off of Schindler's List and Jurassic Park, and Tom Hanks coming off of Philadelphia and Forrest Gump.
This was his
heaters.
Run, right? This was his run.
How dare you forget Toy Story, motherfucker?
Oh, that's true. Toy Story is also in his run.
I mean, yeah. I'm talking about the live action, you fucking dickhead.
But Tom Hanks had like a 6-year run of just like complete dominance. Like, you could have given him Best Actor. I don't know, like.
Well, he was nominated for this. He was nominated for this.
Yeah, you could have given him like 5 times. Like, this dude was on a heater.
I mean, we talked about 1999 with Green Mile, 2000 with Castaway, which is a banger. Castaway's amazing, but
absolute heater run.
This movie right here, and I don't want to say I was disappointed with this movie, because again, you saw the grade. It's an A+ movie, and not a low A+. It didn't just eke into A+.
Medium.
But I think I was expecting a Hall of Fame movie, and I don't have many gripes with this, because my God, is it some of the best filmmaking that you will ever see. And this movie just starts out hitting you with just the brutality. I know that there's a very popular saying on social media, and a lot of people they don't really respond well if you try to go against this phrase. But the phrase is basically like, any movie that's about war is a pro-war movie. And like, I just don't really see how you can watch this and go, yes, war is awesome. Isn't it great?
So, when you're making something about war, you can have different directions and different, like, commentary on what you're talking about. Like, a good example would be Warfare from this year. I don't think that movie's like trying to make a commentary on like, is war bad, is war evil, is war good? Like, it's just presenting a story. Whereas I think this one
is pro war. I think it depends.
Yeah, definitely.
If you have a war movie that sticks to historical accuracy and tries to actually tell a story and have emotion behind it, like Saving Private Ryan, like Dunkirk does.
Yep.
You have films like that aren't really pro-war. It's just trying to tell a historical story. Whereas you have movies like, I'm trying to think of a good example.
Like Lone Survivor.
With Mel Gibson.
Lone Survivor is one that I think you could potentially throw into
that's
that.
probably pro-war.
When you focus heavy on the action side of it and not really throw in like, hey, this is why this was important to tell.
And I'm saying that as someone that thinks that Lone Survivor is a really good movie, but if you were to throw that argument at it, I can't much really like.
Yeah, I think Lone Survivor is a really good movie, but like I think that's like in the more like the pro-war commentary. Like I think you can definitely be in the middle and neutral, and I think a movie like Warfare is like neutral, whereas like this movie is more like not anti-war. It's just like showing you like, wow, this was really like messed up.
This shit isn't fun.
Made people do. Yeah, like this is really messed up on both sides because you get that. Like, I mean, you're going into it going, oh, they're Nazis. Like I'm conditioned to hate Nazis, but I mean, there's parts in this movie where you're like, wow, like, should they shoot this guy even though he's a Nazi? Like, I don't know.
I have to say, I think World War II movies kind of stand on a different pedestal when it comes to war movies.
Yep. Because the war is ridiculous.
The war, obviously, it's World War, but you have that saying is like, you know, the greatest generation, all that kind of stuff. These movies kind of share that and say, hey, this is what a whole generation fucking did. And went up against this and didn't really have to because technically America wasn't involved at that point, but we stepped in, obviously because of Pearl Harbor. But in terms of Europe, we didn't have to go, but you had all these people signing up to go fight across the ocean against an enemy that really
the historical context of what happened. And you get that in some of the scenes, and we can talk about that because there's a line delivery from Tom Hanks where he's like, "I'm a high school, like I'm not high school. I'm a English teacher. Like what am I doing here? Like, is basically what he says.
Yep.
And I mean, you feel like the emotion of that because at the end of the day, you're like, these people are super young. They're kind of just thrown into this war because, like, yes, you're fighting evil, and like, but at the end of the day, like, it's not a pro-war movie. At the end of the day, I think it's very like. It just gives you the picture, like Tommy is saying. Like, it's historically accurate for the most part, and it gives you, like, just a point of view of a handful of soldiers completing this mission. And those are some of the best war movies, to be quite honest with you. Honestly, those are some of the best war projects. Mitchell, I don't know if you feel this way about it. I don't know if you feel this way about this, Tommy. I think Band of Brothers is probably the best thing that Tom Hanks has ever been attached to.
Well, I was going to mention that at some point too because I feel like this was the precursor to what inspired.
Right, really that was my whole point.
Into Band of Brothers, I think they also. Correct me if I'm mistaken. I'm pretty sure they also produced the other two shows.
They produced Masters of Air, and The Pacific, which are both really good. Not as good as Band of Brothers.
Band of Brothers, in my opinion.
And Mitchell, I don't know if you feel this way, and we don't talk about TVs a lot on this podcast or TV stuff, but I think Band of Brothers might be the best produced TV thing ever made.
I'd love to have an opinion on it, but I haven't seen it.
Okay, well,
it's TV.
If you love Saving Private Ryan,
I'm sure it would be great.
If you love Saving Private Ryan, I feel like you should watch Band of Brothers at some point because I don't know if Tommy fully agrees with this, but I got vibes of like, oh shit, this is like the precursor to Band of Brothers. Like they're doing things they do in Band of Brothers, and they do things in Band of Brothers that is even like more insane than what they're doing in this movie. And
Band of Brothers, if you took this movie and made it into a 10-episode series where you focus on character development along with insane action, that's
right.
What it would,
that's what it's like 10 Saving Private Ryans like stacked together. Mitchell, I can go ahead and kind of give my grade. This isn't a Hall of Fame movie for me.
You said it isn't or is?
It is not.
Oh, okay. I'm kind of surprised by that.
And I feel like I'm a fraud because
you're not a fraud.
It probably should be in. I don't have much gripes with it.
Is it the same that I have? Because I'll tell you what my biggest gripe with the movie is.
Yeah, go ahead. It might be the same. It probably is the same.
I just think this movie's too damn long.
Yeah.
It's 2 hours
40
and
minutes
50 minutes long. And I think that if you cut a good half hour out of this movie, I mean, it's kind of, and I know you guys are going to stab me to death for saying this. It is what it is. And I love that movie, and I love this movie even more. But to me, it's kind of like when YouTube bozos talk about like, oh, have you seen the extended version of the Lord of the Rings
Oh,
Return or
fuck
Fellowship
you.
of the Ring? And I'm like,
Not
extended
the same.
version. If we cut 30 minutes out of this movie, it's great. I mean, it still is really like
All right,
fantastic, but
then
it's
answer
even
me
better.
this: where would you cut the scenes?
For Saving Private Ryan.
For Saving Private Ryan, yes.
See, that's like a tough answer. But at the end of the day, like, do we need everything? Like, I'm fine with Carpazzo being the sniper scene. I think the sniper scene should be in there. But do we
I was
need?
gonna say, I think the Vin Diesel stuff might have been the stuff to go because I just feel like that
Yes.
didn't really lend
They
to
definitely
anything.
could have shortened the second
I
half
think
of
they could have just shortened that scene, right? Like, if you just cut 4 minutes here, cut
like,
4 minutes
we
there.
didn't need the mini Vin Diesel episode in the movie. Like, yeah, it was like, oh, cool. Like, was this the beginning of his acting career? Like, how
I
well
don't
known?
know. I mean, it was.
He wasn't at the
It
time.
wasn't like it was bad. I mean, you're saying he was bad in
No,
the movie? I thought it
he's
was
not
good.
No.
bad. It's just
Well, I'm
it
saying
just kind
in
of
terms of screen
feels
time,
like
if he's an unknown person, like we don't really need to have him in the movie. Cut his shit out or make it shorter.
Do we need the scene as long as it is with the German soldier and them discussing like if they're going to kill him? Do we need
no. I
that to
think that
be
was necessary.
12 minutes? Because
Yeah,
I think that needs to be necessary.
because
But
I think one of the standouts for this movie, apart from the first 20 minutes, which just I mean that just my God, that is a way
right.
to grab everyone's attention.
I mean, yeah, we haven't even really talked about it. The first 27 minutes or
We
first
have to
30
talk
minutes of
about
this
it.
movie is the most
It's what you
brutal.
remember from the movie. I
Right.
mean, I know I don't want to side with Harvey Weinstein on literally anything, but
He has a point that
it does.
it's the
If you
peak
want
of
to
the
say the
movie.
movie peaks there, then
It's the peak.
I
It's the peak. But
I
that
would
doesn't
even
mean the
say
rest of the movie is shit. That just
it
means it's the
sets
peak.
it sets the tone for everything that follows.
Yeah, I agree with
Because
that.
it sets a tone of fear. I mean,
Yep.
you get that straight from the beginning when people are throwing up on the boats because they know what they're walking into.
My favorite is the sergeant that puts a massive lip in while everyone else is puking. This dude puts a massive lip in. I was like, that is baller.
but not even that. There's some details that were kind of thrown in here. Sergeant Horvath, when he has a scene where he collects the dirt,
Yeah,
you see all the other cans of dirt he's collected from all the different campaigns they've been a
I
part
don't
of.
think you should take out that. You know what I mean?
Well, no, I'm saying like that was an
No.
important scene in like the fact that it shows like these guys were horrified for this mission and they've been on so many other missions prior to that. It just sets the scale as to how intense this mission was for everybody. Like
Right.
you had these seasoned veterans in this war like horrified to land on these beaches.
I mean, to be fair, I don't know I forgot the exact like statistic like number, but it was like 15 seconds and you were dead. Was like the average time or something. It was like insane. Like
Probably.
basically the first wave of people was just stopping the bullets for the second wave of people to get on the beach. Like that was basically it. So
Yeah, if you were part
like
of that
that's
first wave, you were just
yeah,
kind of
it's tough. I mean,
gone.
it's tough to watch. I mean, look,
It's extremely tough to watch.
people's limbs are coming off. Like people, like that one guy, the soldier gets his arm blown off, and
and he's
like
just
picks
carrying
it up.
it around.
He carries it with him. I'm like, it's hard. It's all hard to watch. It's the most brutal war scene I've ever seen, and it's probably the most brutal war scene in the history of war cinema. But it's
one
accurate
that
too.
won't be topped.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be topped. I mean, how
I
can you
mean,
top that?
the fact that looking back,
I mean,
now,
go ahead,
this movie
Mitchell.
is almost
Mitchell has
this movie is almost 30 years old, and the fact that it still has it's aged that
what
well.
scene would top that?
I think there's a certain scene in Hacksaw Ridge that comes pretty close.
Okay, I mean, I haven't seen Hacksaw Ridge in like forever, so I need to see it again.
I need to rewatch it, but from what I remember, I would put Hacksaw Ridge above this. Personally, I would put 1917 above this. I
think as
really
a longer
love that
movie, I'm just saying like the scene, like
Yeah,
that 30
yeah.
minutes
Mhm.
is just incredible. And I mean,
It's
the
certainly a
blowtorches,
great way to begin the movie.
Yeah, the blowtorches, the grenades, like everything, and like the sound and just the imagery, and I can't really describe it because everything is like so on point. And I think you made a really great point at the beginning of the podcast, Mitchell. Like this is a well made movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't have many critiques on like how the movie was made other than the length. And again, I don't know if I fully agree with you on cutting 40 minutes or 30 minutes because I don't know where you would cut. Like if
I
you
love
start
it the
cutting
way it is.
stuff, yeah, if you start cutting stuff, then you get to the point where maybe it's not the same movie. And for me, and I don't want to jump all the way to the end, but I didn't like the end. Just flat out, I think that was the dropping point for me. I didn't like the
Really?
end.
When you say the end, you
I
mean the
just
end battle or the end scene with older
no,
Private
no. I'm
Ryan?
fine with older Private Ryan being
I was gonna
involved.
say, I tear up every time I watch
Yeah,
that.
I cry every single time I watch that part. I think I had a real issue with just like slamming the mortars on like the wall and then throwing it and then like I first of all that I don't think that's like historically accurate. Like I don't think you can do that
It
with
is.
mortars. Uh, I I mean maybe you can, but I just think at the end of the day, like I just feel like there would have been a better way to wrap up that movie than like basically just have them all be massacred on the bridge. But maybe like that's part of the story. Like I don't. It just didn't
Well, it's not
feel the
based
same
on a.
way. You know what I
It's
mean?
Yeah, it's not
based.
Exactly. It's
a
not
true
based on
story.
anything. It's
It's like
loosely based.
1917, where it's
Yeah.
like based on things that have been told that are kind of mismatched together, and
Right. It's
yeah,
loosely based
yeah,
on a
exactly.
story. So that's my whole point is if we're like fabricating a story and making up a story, then I just think we could have like had a little bit better of like a landing, I guess is what I was getting at.
I
Um
liked the way that it concluded. I thought that everything they did with Matt Damon as Private Ryan was really good.
Yep.
As far as it not being a super clean, like, all right, hey, come with us, we got him, and now everything is good to go. Like, I really liked the way that this concluded, and I thought that that whole
yeah.
scene with Tom Hanks shooting at the tank, and then the presumably the Air Force coming by, I thought that that was really, I mean, to say something is well done in a Steven Spielberg movie, particularly this Steven Spielberg movie, is kind of, you know, yeah, of course,
I
but
mean maybe
it
I'm
was
just
really well done.
yeah, maybe I'm just off base. I don't like that they killed Hanks. And I guess that's just a me thing though, right? Like I don't think it's like bad storytelling or bad like way to end a story or anything like that. Like I agree with you. Like the scene of him shooting at the tank is like really powerful and really impactful. But I don't know. I just feel like if you're gonna spend all this time with Tom Hanks' character and then he dies, it's like, like I don't know. I just didn't. I didn't love it. And that's just kind of where I'm at with it. Um, but
Also, I thought that the Upham character really added a lot to this.
yes,
Oh,
I
I
do think.
fucking hated Upham. I hated Upham so much.
So I have like
There
mixed
you go with the
opinions on
wrong
it.
opinions again.
Yeah, I have mixed opinions on it
No,
because
like
like
I mean, I hated his character and like the fact, like the decisions he made as a character pissed me off all the time.
yeah, like I don't mind seeing him like go through what he goes through. But if I'm gonna get Tom Hanks' character dying at the end, why would you have Upham's character shoot the German soldier who has his hands up because he killed the other guy?
Yeah,
You, I don't
that was
love
it.
that decision. I don't love that decision. I guess is my
Well,
whole point.
that's the scene that makes me hate him as a character because he hid on the stairs and let the other guy get killed because he was too big of a coward. But then all of a sudden had the balls to stand up to
But
like
this is the
30.
same character that was like, we can't kill this other Nazi. Like we have to let him go. Like it's the so like the character arc of him
Yeah,
being
but
like,
that's the thing. It was the
fuck
same
that.
goddamn
Like,
person.
oh, that's true.
See,
Yeah.
that it made sense to me that after he, you know, saw what his inaction led to, that he was like, okay,
Yeah.
I
He was
can't
like,
do
fuck
that
this guy.
anymore.
Yeah, he was like, fuck this guy.
Storytelling wise, yes, I like it. it was a good story, the character arc for him, but the character himself, like
The
this is,
specific character
I'm like, you
actions.
motherfucker. I was like, grow a pair of
Yeah.
balls and go up there.
Yeah, the specific character actions. I was sitting there the whole time because I was watching by myself at like really late at night, and I was like yelling at the TV like, "Fuck! What are you doing? What are you doing? Stop!
Yeah.
Stop!"
Every time I watched it, pisses me off.
And you know that it was the same guy, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
The guy that he killed?
honestly I blanked on that. So that was the same guy they saw at the nest or whatever.
See,
yeah.
that's why,
I
like, if
blanked
it was
on
just
that.
a random dude,
But even
I
then,
would
like you
understand
let
being
that guy
frustrated
walk
with it.
away. Okay, he kills your friend again, so he kills another person. But he spared you, and then you turn around and shoot him when he has his hands up. I don't know. I get where the story is coming from, but I don't love it as a character arc because I'm like, man, he like kind of like threw his morals out the window because war got to him. I guess is what I guess is like the moral of that story.
yeah.
But yeah, it's
Grade
very
it.
close to a Hall of Fame. It's very close, but yeah, I'll go ahead and give it Tommy since I kind of already hinted. A plus, 70.3.
Okay, so
close.
wow,
It's
it
close.
did get very close.
But
You and I are kind of right on.
I felt it was going to be one. I guess is my point. I thought for sure it was gonna be like slam dunk 85.
Yeah, I thought it
Yeah.
was going to be in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine was A plus 80. It was high up
Okay.
there.
Okay.
So
One of my-
it's in
In
your
terms of
Hall of
war
Fame.
action movies, this is
Yeah, that's good
by
stuff.
far one of my favorites.
Nice. Well, I'm glad that one of us got it into the Hall of Fame
Yeah.
because I can't remember what exactly I took Brandon's over under at.
I think it was 5.5, right?
No, I set it at. Well, let's see.
Yeah, go ahead and count.
I
it out.
set the over under for Brandon at Steven Spielberg Hall of Fame entries at 3.5.
3.5.
And I thought that this one was going to be one of the ones, and I took the over on that. So we'll have to see what happens. There's definitely a lot that could still get in there, and maybe it's the next one that we talk about because Saving Private Ryan came after Schindler's List, and Schindler's List was the one that won Spielberg the Oscar, the Best Picture Oscar. For the best movie of 1993. This movie was released in December 15th, 1993, $22 million budget, $322 million at the box office. It's Steven Spielberg. Of course, it was going to do well. Has a 9.0 on IMDb for the number 7 movie of all time.
9.0? Holy gosh.
Yep. Just a fantastic score as far as that goes. And this movie won 7 Oscars. One for Best Picture, one for Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Cinematography, Best Art Direction, Best Film Editing, Best Score for John Williams. Liam Neeson and Ralph Fiennes were nominated but did not win Oscars for this movie. And before we get into any box office trivia or anything like that, because believe me, it is coming. It will happen. I feel like I gotta get this out there because I've kind of been known as a bit of a hater for some reason. I've developed a reputation of having lower grades on stuff than maybe a tougher grader. You don't want to be in my math class.
I wouldn't qualify you as
You
a hater.
don't want to be in my math class.
Yeah.
I call you a hater just to be an asshole, but I think you're just very critical when you watch movies, whereas I'm more of just I just like to watch movies for fun.
See, I do think, Tommy, and maybe you will feel this way too. When you watch so many movies, you kind of have to start getting
I think
this movie sucks.
That
this
plays more of a
good,
part than people anticipate.
So what was your?
But
thing?
I will say this right here, right now. I think Schindler's List is the best movie ever made, and I don't think it's particularly close. I think this is the greatest movie ever made. You will not see it on my 4 favorites list. When I give my grade, I will have given grades that are higher than this because there is a rewatchability factor that
Like
this movie just
you love
can never
rewatching.
have.
So
I
like,
love
a good
rewatching
example,
Inception.
Yeah,
I
you
love
love
rewatching The Dark Knight or The Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
This is a movie that if I can help it, I will never watch again, because of the subject matter.
Yep.
If I was to grade it just on, and I'm not going to give my full grade at the beginning like I did in
Like a
Saving Private
pure
Ryan,
grade, yeah.
but I will say that if I was just grading it based on the movie without any of the rewatchability factors, it would be like an A plus, like 130 something. Like
it would break the scale. Yeah.
I truly think that this is an important movie, obviously, but I think that this is just mastery on a level that I've never seen as far as filmmaking goes.
Right.
This is Steven Spielberg's just like masterpiece. It's his magnum opus.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, that he's made a lot of movies, even going to the Indiana Jones movies, he's made a lot of movies kind of touching on World War II or Nazis. He did it with Saving Private Ryan, and he would continue to do that in a lot of different ways. But this is the movie that is the most direct confrontation of World War II and what the Nazis did. And this is Steven Spielberg at the height of his game. I think Liam Neeson should have won the Oscar for Best Actor in 1993. Tom Hanks was really damn good in Philadelphia, but
that's a hard performance.
Liam Neeson in Schindler's List was pretty tough to beat.
I gotta be honest. I don't know if we'll see two performances like that in the same year.
Because talking about Liam Neeson and Tom Hanks?
Yeah, I just think I think most years they would win. Like 95% of years they would win the Oscar. Like he just happened to do it in the same year as Philadelphia. And like I think I agree with you. I think I agree with you that it should be Liam Neeson's. But I mean, talk about another movie that also touches on a subject matter that is very hard to watch and very hard to like grasp. Like that is also another movie like that.
I really like that movie.
Yeah. I don't consider it anywhere near this movie, but yeah.
And Ralph Fiennes lost to Tommy Lee Jones for The Fugitive, which if you have not seen The Fugitive, change that. The Fugitive is an excellent movie.
Great movie.
It is a fantastic movie that so many other movies have tried to do what The Fugitive did and just done it way worse.
Right.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'd probably still go Tommy Lee Jones for The Fugitive if I'm being honest. He's just remarkable in that. But this thing here, and also another reason why it's not gonna be in my 4 favorites on Letterboxd is it's 3 hours and 15 minutes, and it is a punishing 3 hours and 15 minutes.
It's an emotionally taxing movie that, obviously given the subject matter going into the movie, it's going to be a heavy movie. And I feel like this is probably the most talked about movie when it comes to emotional films that are hard to watch. And you feel that the whole way through. It's just I watched this movie and afterwards I was like, I don't even want to watch anything right now. I'm just depressed.
Yeah, I watched it while I was working or in the middle of work, and terrible decision. Terrible decision. Terrible fucking decision.
And I always think of.
I had to take a 15-minute break. I was like, I can't.
That's fair.
Process.
This was my first time ever watching this movie. I've always heard how emotionally intense this movie was, but on the side, my only reference really has always been the Seinfeld episode where Jerry Seinfeld's making out during the movie, and they're so mad at him. How could you do that?
What a terrible.
Those are the only 2 things I ever knew about Schindler's List, and the fact that Liam Neeson was the main character. And I was like,
that's pretty funny.
Liam Neeson playing a German.
See, I didn't know that Liam Neeson was the main character when I started watching this, because I remember watching this, and I don't know what in the hell brought this on, but we were just trying to find a movie to watch. I was at my grandparents' place 11, 12 years ago, and we were just trying to find a movie to watch, and we got about an hour into this, and everyone was just like, Can we please go just do something else? Like, why are we doing this right now? Like I was like, this is a great movie, but like I think I was visiting them like for spring break. I'm like, why are we watching Schindler's List?
Yeah.
Like,
So I
it
do
just
want to
didn't
say
fit the tone of what we were trying to do at that point in time.
No, not at all.
yeah, it doesn't fit the tone of really anything you're going to be doing. Because, okay, so in my example, like, I watched Saving Private Ryan at like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. I went to bed for like 2 hours. I woke up at 7.
I went to bed for 2 hours.
This is good
That's
stuff.
not
Mitchell.
how sleeping's supposed
This
to
is
work,
good
Brandon.
stuff, Mitchell. I rented Schindler's List, obviously. At 7 a.m., my shift for work, I think, was supposed to start at like 8:39. At 7 a.m., I started this movie, and I was like, okay, I'm going to watch from like 7 to 10. And then after 7, I'm going to watch like 3 hours. And then basically after I'm done watching, I'm going to like do the rest of my work that day. And I get to the end of
That's a
this
great
movie.
way to start your morning. Hey,
I
let's
know.
watch first thing in the morning.
I get to the
Hey,
end of
I
this
started
movie.
this movie at 5 in the morning, so I
Well,
get it.
mean, look, the only thing is, I get to the end of this movie, and I immediately like called my dad and was just like, "Hey, so I just had to watch like Saving Private Ryan and Schindler's List for the podcast we're doing," and he's like, "Could you pick the 2 most depressive movies in the entire world?" And I was like, "Yeah, these are pretty depressive movies." I was like, "I really just need to talk to someone and like decompress because like I can't process like what I just watched basically."
I watched Saving Private Ryan, or I watched Schindler's List, and then I watched Saving Private Ryan, and then I went to go see Bring Her Back.
Oh, what a good movie!
I don't know.
I haven't seen it yet, but
it is so dark and depressing in a very different way than these 2 movies are. And so I need the next movie I watch to be like the happiest shit that has ever existed. Like whatever you think the happiest movie is. No, I need to watch like Barney Goes to the Toy Store or something. Like
Happy Feet.
I have always watched comedy.
Happy Feet has its dark moments, man. I'm not even kidding.
It does.
Happy Feet. No, Happy Feet's too dark for that shit.
Nah.
No, my go-to when I need something to cheer myself up with was always Sunny in Philadelphia or Family Guy. Those were the 2 shows because they're just funny. That's just like you can't not laugh and just enjoy them.
Like South Park could be a good example.
It is.
Yeah, 21 Jump Street's a good one.
That's a great
The
movie.
other guys. Yeah.
Some mindlessly stupid comedy that's just
there you go.
Guaranteed to make you laugh.
So this movie, for those of you who don't know, because if you haven't seen this movie, I think we've done a really good job of telling you that it's great and that it's depressing and that you probably only want to watch it one time.
It's depressing for the right reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. This movie is about, of course, World War II, and it's about Oskar Schindler, who's a German business owner,
entrepreneur.
Yeah, something along those lines. And he's got just a bunch of factories in, was it Poland?
Poland, yep.
Or was it in Germany? Or did it kind of span both?
It's Poland. It's Poland.
And
it's Caracal, right? Caracal?
I'll be honest.
I can look it up.
Late at night, so
it starts in Caracal. I think, because I know that they.
Well, it ends in like another part of Europe. Yeah.
Well, because I know that there's a point where they go to Auschwitz.
Yep.
And they're in Auschwitz for a little bit, and that's, I mean, again, just saying the word Auschwitz, it's like, oh shit, like that's the type of stuff that we're talking about.
I don't want to get too.
Here,
I don't want to get.
Let me read a plot description to help clear up some of the details here.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, in German-occupied Krakow during World War II, the Nazi forced Polish Jews into an overcrowded Krakow ghetto. Oskar Schindler, a German Nazi Party member from Czechoslovakia, arrives in the city hoping to make his fortune.
Mm-hmm.
He drives the German armed forces and SS officials to acquire a factory to produce enamelware. And then Schindler hires Francis Stern, the Jewish official, to help contact...
as his accountant, basically. Yeah.
Basically helps kind of...
Played by Ben Kingsley.
He kind of uses the Jewish population to his advantage because he wouldn't have to pay them as much.
So...
He starts out with just like intentions of just trying to like save money.
Yeah,
and
he wants money.
Right.
And then
one of the lines,
because he's a
Mitchell.
Nazi at first,
right?
Yes.
But
he's
like, one of the
he's very
lines-
sympathetic to the Nazi cause.
One of the lines he says, like, "Oh, why wouldn't I hire Poles over Jews? Because Poles cost more." Like he's just thinking about it like in a business sense. Like, how can I keep costs down? Like, what can I do to like make this work? And then Ben Kingsley's character is like using his factory as like a way to save people from what is happening in occupied Poland.
And I think what this movie does very well is kind of showing and describing the concept of turning a blind eye, and
Right, a great, good
you know,
example.
kind of the concept of like, if you don't see it happening, it's easier to kind of brush off
Doesn't
and
work.
just pretend like it's not happening.
Right.
And
When he goes like, they're not all bad, you know what I mean? Like they're not
Yeah.
all bad. It's like, oh well.
and not to jump too far ahead, but you get that. I think the most important scene for me in this movie was, aside from the ending, was kind of like halfway through when him and his wife are riding on the horses and they arrive outside the camp
Yeah.
and they see
And they
everybody
see
being
all of
shot in
it.
the street, and he just watches that little girl walking through the streets and he's like, holy shit, this is what I'm helping. Like, this is the cause that I'm helping.
Right, I'm helping this cause. And then his
And that-
wife even says, like, can we go? This is too much.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you've been living right next to it, turning a blind eye to it for
Yep.
however long.
Ignorance is bliss, and he was using it to make as much money as possible. And this is where he kind of shifts to say, you know what, I'm going to use my fortune to try and help reverse all the damage that my party has basically been doing this whole time.
Yeah, and I will say, like, this movie does a really good job of showing, like, okay, there's Polish people who aren't Jews who are basically treated as like second class people for Nazis because Nazis don't look at Poles the way they would look at like
There was a large
themselves.
There were many populations that were targeted
Right,
by
many
Nazi
populations.
parties. Just the Jewish was the
And-
largest and most impacted.
And I do think this movie does a good job of like showing like, okay, like the Poles were mistreating the Jews at one point, like, oh, get out of here, like leave, like go to the ghetto, like you suck, like at the beginning of the movie. But I do want to point out that like I don't think it's historically inaccurate, but there was a lot of Polish people who like were doing the exact same thing that Schindler was doing and was trying to save people and trying to protect people and doing all of that stuff. So I do want to like, if you watch this movie and you take it at like face value, like everything's historically accurate and this is like how this is portrayed, I wouldn't exactly do that. This is like a telling of a story through the eyes of like multiple different people and through like the words of like multiple different people. So there's going to be some like dramatization in there and stuff like that. But in terms of like the stuff that was happening to people, 100% like disgusting, vile, evil things. Like Nazis were just shooting Jews in the street for like no reason. Like that did happen. Like
we
that
gotta talk about Ralph Fiennes in this thing.
Yeah, I mean Ralph Fiennes' character is nuts. His character is insane.
I have to say, so kind of tying in Saving Private Ryan a little bit into this too. I've seen that movie a million times, and I had no idea that Nathan Fillion, Bryan Cranston were in this movie at all until I watched it yesterday. And I was like, oh shit, I forgot they're in this movie. I had no fucking clue Ralph Fiennes was in this movie.
I had zero clue he was in this movie.
Until he was first on screen, I was like, holy shit, is that Ralph Fiennes? Because
you were like, is this Ralph Fiennes?
That's Voldemort playing a worse person than Voldemort.
Well,
think about that shit.
And another movie that I came across with Ralph Fiennes, I've never realized it was him. I don't know why I never put two and two together, but Red Dragon.
I thought.
I've never seen Red Dragon.
I thought
we may or may not be talking about that next year.
Is Amon Goeth as bad as the Nazi general in Inglourious Bastards?
Okay,
I'd say he's worse.
I think he's worse. I think his character is the most vile character in movie history.
So having seen all of these movies now, I feel like Ralph Fiennes has been, with the exception of The Conclave, I feel like he's been typecasted as a villain because he plays them so well.
Well, he's very good in Conclave too, but yeah.
He's also going to be President Snow in the next Hunger Games movie.
No.
So another villain.
But he's okay. But also, I have no idea what his role is going to be in 28 years later. But he's in that coming up soon.
Well, obviously, it's got to be a villain.
I mean, he was kind of a villain in The Menu, but I mean, he was just so damn
He could be
charismatic.
the person on Skull
Um,
Island for 28 years later.
if you've seen the Grand Budapest Hotel, you
I
gotta
have,
like him in Grand Budapest Hotel.
Oh,
Um,
you're saying he's not a villain in that? Is
no,
that your
he's
point?
the main character, and he's great.
Okay.
And he's
But there's
he's
like
definitely has his bad moments, but
right.
he's a good guy.
But my whole point with casting Fiennes in this role and just letting him basically like I don't even know if cook is the right word. Just like letting him go.
Yeah, I might use a different adjective.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if I'll use.
Word.
Yeah, I'm gonna retract that. Letting
Yeah,
him go as an actor and just letting him like get into the character and do what is necessary. Like, like again, I just think his character is certifiably insane. Like, it is just. I mean, he's a Nazi, obviously, but like, there's levels to being like a terrible, evil person, and I feel like Fiennes like push the boundaries of that in this movie while acting. And yeah, I it's just it's hard to watch. It is very hard to watch at points because it is
and
like wow, that is tough.
he goes like he never at any point is you hear stories about some Nazis like it's kind of like Inglorious Bastards where it's like they want people to know that they were Nazis because when they try to deny it at the end it's like no, this isn't something you should get to walk away from, you should have to wear this
That's why they
forever.
carve it in their head.
he
Yeah,
he never had that point. Like they hang his ass at the very end of the movie and his last words are literally hailing Hitler. So
right.
I mean,
He's like fuck this.
yeah, like yeah, he never at any point like it's just pure evil. And we gotta talk about the very end of well, not the very end, but we'll get to the
The
very end. But the
factory
scene,
scene.
the scene with Liam Neeson at the very end of the movie where they gave him the ring.
yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if
I thought you
I've
were
ever
gonna go with the
watched.
factory when he told because I thought that was the connection you were making was when he told the Nazis you can either kill all these people because they're all in here like go ahead and shoot them like that's your orders or you guys can walk away and they all like we're like yeah we're leaving see you
That,
Yeah.
that whole collective of scenes kind of ties together for me. That whole ending.
yeah so go
It
ahead
was
Mitchell
really powerful.
yeah the ring is like
I've watched this movie twice because I saw it. I saw it about 6
I
years
saw this
ago or
like
so.
years ago I saw this when I was like
And
15 I think yeah
I remember I was watching it at like 2 in the morning, because
such a good time to watch
I
it
was 25 and stupid, and the concept of sleep meant nothing to me.
Still doesn't for me.
But yeah, well, I'm working on it. I don't think I've ever watched that scene and been able to actually see what was happening because
it's
I
so
just
dark
no, I'm talking about just my
oh
eyes, like I
oh
just well up with
gotcha
tears the whole time. Like
yeah
no. The everything, the black and white in this movie is absolutely the correct choice for it.
Yes.
Especially for just with the dramatic effect that you really
you
need for
would
the
think
girl in the red dress
right
or
you would
the
think
child in the red dress. I
that's
mean
fair
that's really what's supposed to drive home
Mhm.
so much of this is just that this wasn't just
You
adults.
would think shooting a movie in black and white in the 90s, a lot of people would be like, what are we doing? Like, does this actually look that good? Like, I just, I mean, how much money did this movie actually make? Because, like,
This
if
movie
you told
made
me,
domestically
it's Spielberg.
$96 million.
Yeah, that's
Now
crazy.
that was
For a 3
for
hour and 15-minute Holocaust movie
$96 million,
in
and
black and
the
white.
highest that it ever got in the box office. It was never a number one movie. It just was a movie and it never made more than 5.6 million in a weekend. It just kept hanging around.
Just kept going.
Because I mean, it also got the Oscar buzz, and it
I feel like the
stuck
people
in
who were gonna
theaters.
watch this movie were gonna go see it. You know what I mean? Like they were gonna go. Like, they weren't gonna see it again, but they were
I
gonna
mean,
tell people
let's
like
be
you should
honest.
watch this movie. You know what I mean? Like word of
Let's be
mouth.
honest. No one is gonna want to spend over 3 hours in a movie theater to watch something depressing.
Unless
But people did.
it's
That
the
was my point.
director that made Jurassic Park a few months prior, which,
Well, yeah,
think about
I'm
that.
not saying it's
This
not
came
worth
out the same year as Jurassic Park.
What a
Steven
year.
Spielberg is a
What a
god for
heater.
this.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, I'm saying, like, if I were to go to the movie theater today and I had the options of something like Jurassic Park or something like Schindler's List, I'm going to go for Jurassic Park. Not to say that this movie isn't worth watching. This is a
Ain't
movie
no
every
bitch, you
person
do
should
both.
see once.
I was gonna
Because of how
say,
important this movie is, but
yeah.
it's very depressing. And to
No, it
sit in
is.
the
Yeah.
theater for over 3 hours.
But that's the thing is like there had to not be that many repeat people going to see this movie. It had to be like word of mouth. Like I saw this movie. You need to go see it. Watch it once.
I
and
think
then
if you
never
see
watch
this
it again.
movie multiple times in theaters, you should be put on like a list. Like
Yeah,
that's
well,
like that
it's
you should see this
something to
I mean,
multiple
I don't
times.
know
remember
because
the
I thought about watching The Brutalist like multiple
But-
times in theaters.
Okay, but the Brutalist isn't this.
No,
also
it's
to
not.
do a plug-in. If you ever have the chance to go to the Holocaust Museum,
Yes.
it has this level impact, but much bigger and something you can actually walk around and look at stuff.
Is that in DC?
Yes,
Yeah.
I've been to it twice now, and it's intense. Like on the same level of watching this movie, but you get to walk through and see different things. And they have a whole section of people where they kind of give stories of people like Schindler, where they basically put their lives on the line to help rescue and save Jewish people.
Right.
So you
I
get
mean,
to see
he
all the different
saved
stories.
thousands, hundreds, thousands of Jews
And to
by
tie that
doing
back
what he
in,
did. I mean,
yeah, and to tie that into what Mitchell was kind of saying with this scene with the ring, um, where he breaks down and kind of like has that like realization moment of like this whole movie he was trying to make money, make money, make money. Then all of a sudden he had that switch, but then at the very end he realizes like all these things he owned could have helped save another life or another 10 lives. And all of a sudden, everything he saw and worked for, he just put into bodies. Like everything had a value of a life. And I thought that was probably the most emotional and impactful scene in this movie.
It's a lot, and I think that should have been that should have been a scene that brought Liam Neeson an Oscar.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole movie. I think
really
Liam Neeson's
like
just
his
on point.
Yeah, I mean, I really like him in this movie, and I think he's phenomenal. But part of it is like the movie. It's about him, but it's not really. It's about everything else around him, and then it's like
That's a good way of putting
this
it.
realization of like, oh shit, I'm part of the problem. Like
I'm complicit
I'm
in this.
Complicit in this issue,
And I have the power to do something about it.
Because I think Ben Kingsley's character, like all he does is just like, I mean that's also like certifiably like insane what he is like the risk he takes every like single basically second of this movie.
Not to mention that scene where he gets
like,
put on the train.
Right.
And Liam Neeson's like going nuts trying to find him and get him off.
It's like you lost your. He's like, I didn't bring my work pass, and they didn't believe me.
What's funny is I'm trying to remember now. Like, I don't think Liam Neeson knew where he was being sent to at that point. Like,
right, he didn't. Yeah, that's the point.
Had he known, I'm sure he would have went even farther to get him off that train.
Didn't know it was Auschwitz or whatever work camp. Like Auschwitz is the most famous one, and they do disgusting things in Auschwitz, and it is a vile place. But they had work camps like that all over Europe. It wasn't just Auschwitz. Like the depth of the Holocaust and how much impact it had on just the amount of people it touched is, I mean, it's disgusting like what happened, but like at some point like people did have to be like kind of complicit to it for it to happen. The other thing I would say is like the scene where he's like grabs the sniper rifle and just starts like sniping people for like fun in the morning. I'm like personally I started thinking like, do we need this scene? Like, do we actually need this? Because this is disgusting. Like, this is not okay. But I think that's like the whole point of the movie, Mitchell. It just is like that's that's like it's supposed to make you feel uncomfortable. It's supposed to make you feel that way. Like, and like I guess to round out my entire like thought is like it's not about Liam Neeson's character. It's about everything around Liam Neeson's character, and then Liam Neeson's character like finally reacts and responds to like all of this hatred and all this evil around him and tries to do good in the last few like moments he has left to like try to do something good. Um it's really powerful, but I mean, yeah, it's not about him for most of the movie, which is weird because he's so good. He's phenomenal. But it's really not about him. It's about everyone else. And I guess that's what's weird about the movie too. I don't know if y'all feel the same way, but that's just it kind of makes the movie weird because you're supposed to be following Oscar Schindler, but then you're like looking at all this other stuff and you're like, I mean, it's just brutal. It's just brutal after brutal after brutal, and it's hard to watch.
All right, you guys want to grade this thing?
Yeah, I mean, Mitchell, I agree with you. I mean, I think Shawshank is like a phenomenally made movie, and it is like one of the best movies ever made. And it's my top movie so far. Um, I don't think it touches this production wise. Like, I don't. I think this might be one of the most important films made ever. I'm gonna go high, and I gotta be honest. While this movie is hard to watch and the rewatchability of it is hard, and I've seen it twice and I saw them like 15 years apart, I'd probably rewatch this movie again in the next like 7 or 8 years. And I'm gonna give this an A plus 97.8. I think this movie is
Hall of Fame.
I mean it's Hall of Fame, but it's like to your point, Mitchell, if this like wasn't the rewatchability, like how tough it is to watch, this movie would like break the scale. It'd be like A plus 120. You know, it's an insane movie to make, and Spielberg does everything right in terms of production. And yeah, I mean Liam Neeson's awesome. Ben Kingsley's character is awesome. Ralph Fiennes' character is evil, pure evil, and I think it's a film that everyone should watch at least once, especially now and nowadays. I mean, with what's going on in the country now, probably should watch this movie.
Yeah. Hate that it's something that you feel like people should watch with stuff going on, but unfortunately true. Tommy?
I'm going to give it an A plus 90%.
Yeah.
And to go off what you guys were just saying, it reminded me of the scene earlier on where they were going over the non-essential versus essential workers. And there was that one guy that was like fighting. It's like, I teach English and history. Like, how is that not essential? To tie back into current times, history always repeats itself, and learning about history is important. So,
absolutely,
don't let this shit happen again.
Yeah.
So again, I said that my grade would be, the scales would be broken, but this isn't really something I can say is a favorite because, I'm not gonna go and watch it when I need my, like, I'm gonna watch my favorite movies. I'm not gonna watch Schindler's List, but I do think it is the best movie of all time. I think it's the best made movie of all time. I think it's the most important movie of all time. For me, it's an A plus 94.62, which is just below where I had Shawshank. I had that at 97.31. Shawshank also just, it's on TNT, and you can just kind of watch it on a rainy Sunday and
Shawshank
enjoy
yourself.
Is
so rewatchable.
Exactly.
So rewatchable.
Whereas Schindler's List, I may watch this movie one more time before I die. I don't really want to think about
I think if I have kids, I'm gonna show this. I'm gonna show this movie like
when they're like that will be the one other time
when they're like teenagers. You know what I mean?
The one factor for me that made it not a like 100% movie was the fact that it is 3 hours and 15 minutes long.
It's a lot.
And that also is what's going to hinder me from rewatching in the future because it's 3 hour and 15 minutes of depression.
Of this, yeah. No, I get that.
Yeah, I mean,
All right.
we mentioned The Brutalist, Mitchell, just real quick, because we're talking about, like, another... Like, The Brutalist doesn't touch this, but I just think how well that movie did in theaters, like, it just blows my mind that this movie made $96 million domestically.
Well, again, this movie also had Steven Spielberg coming off of Jurassic
attached to
Park.
it. Yeah.
So,
man, I can't wait for this Spielberg dive because it's.
Speaking of the Spielberg dive and speaking of Jurassic Park,
Oh,
that is what is next. We are going to. We are in that was an extremely depressing episode. Two incredibly important, incredibly respected, and incredibly made movies. But most of Steven Spielberg's filmography is more in the fun, adventure type of stuff. Now, this isn't the last time we'll be talking about depressing subject matter and more serious stuff, but it'll be a little bit because we are about to dive headfirst into the Jurassic Park movies with Jurassic Park and the Lost World Jurassic Park coming next week. We're going to review all the Jurassic Park / Jurassic World movies because the new Jurassic World movie is coming out in the beginning of July. And hopefully that can get things back on track. Not to necessarily spoil where I think
it's a rebirth, Mitchell. Of course.
I thought it was Jurassic World Afterbirth at first. And I'm like, I think that's a good title for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. But hey, we'll be talking about that movie soon enough. It's Jurassic Park and the Lost World Jurassic Park next week for a little bit more of the fun side of Steven Spielberg that he's probably better known for. But if you haven't seen Saving Private Ryan and Schindler's List, please go check out those movies because they are some of the best ever made. And, Steven Spielberg was on his A game, won Best Director for both of these. How many times can you say that about a director winning Best Director twice? So go check those out, make your own opinion. We'll see you next week.